The first thing I want to talk about is the recent indictment of former head of the FBI, James Comey, for threatening to kill President Donald Trump with seashells that spell out a series of numbers. And I'm just gonna read here. This is from the Politico. It says a federal grand jury has indicted former FBI director James Comey over an Instagram post featuring seashells arranged to spell 8647, a phrase President Donald Trump and his allies claimed represented a call for violence against Trump. The since deleted post, which Comey posted last May during a beach trip, generated furor among Trump's allies and a vow from the FBI and Homeland Security to investigate it as a threat. The grand jury in the Eastern District of North Carolina on Tuesday indicted Comey on 2 counts, threatening to kill or injure Donald Trump and transmitting the threat in interstate commerce via Instagram.
This is amazing. Wait, so he was indicted on a death threat?
Yeah. For threatening to kill the president because he posted a photo of some seashell. Once again, he was on. Well, look, he claims the former FBI director claims that while on vacation, he was walking along the beach and came across a seashell arrangement that said 8647. He posted a photo of it, being like, "Isn't this nice and clever?" Some would allege that he, in fact, was the one who created the seashell message, but we'll see what he has to say on that.
And that would elevate the charges. If they were able to prove that, it would be attempted murder.
Yeah. Well, the president has, of course, weighed in on this just yesterday, and this is a post on Truth Social. He said, "Quote: 86 is a mob term for kill him. They say 86 him. 8647 means kill President Trump. James Comey, who is a dirty cop, one of the worst, knows this full well. 8 miles out, 6 feet down. Didn't he also lie to the FBI about this? I think so. President DJT." Now, I've heard before, like he's saying anyone who's seen a mob movie knows that 86 means to kill someone. And like, I was racking my brain to come up with an example of a mob movie or a mob trope where they use. I'm sure maybe there's like one reference or something. Like usually it's in the context of restaurants or like a club. 86 someone is announced them, or like clearing a table or whatever. But like in the mob movie, it's like, hey, are we going to whack this guy or going to rub him out or push his button or something like that. I don't know about 86 being used in a
this feels like
the mob hits and
one of the rare instances where we are actually qualified to be addressing a statement having to do with national politics. Like I've done the 10,000 hours of like watching Donnie Brasco a bunch of times, and like it's not a thing I've ever heard. Like it is, to the extent that I've heard it, it is like 100 times out of 100. It is like restaurant stuff. It's like, we're taking this off the menu, we're out of it, whatever. Like it's not a threat. Right. It's like shorthand. It's like the way that you hear like in diners, if you order rye toast, they say whiskey down. That's not like a threat to throw a bottle of whiskey at you. That is just how you communicate to the cook.
Or it's like in bar terminology, it's like someone's 86, someone's like thrown out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But it's also that isn't like, this guy was really rude to his bartender. Let's follow him home, figure out his routine, and get some sort of fentanyl spray and dash it in his ear and write a fake suicide note. This guy is a really bad tipper. Let's blow his brains out at work.
I'm gonna kidnap his kid.
That was my least favorite part about being a bouncer, was all the contract killings.
No one tells you about that. You think you're just signing up for a job roughhousing with drunk guys, but they actually do want you to get your hands dirty a little bit.
I didn't even get paid more for doing it. I got the same $11 an hour for all the guys that I murdered.
It is funny that they were able to secure an indictment for this, because so much of so many of the attempts to do this sort of like vanity indictment shit has failed. Like, I think this is a testament to just how uniquely unlikable James Comey is. Like, just a man with no constituency anywhere on any side of the political spectrum at this point. Because like they tried to, the dude that like threw a Subway sandwich at a ICE guy. They like tried to indict him for like,
terrorism.
Terrorism or whatever,
murder,
felony assault. And like they weren't able to do that. Like the idea that somehow you can get actually indicted for a death threat against the president of the United States because you did like some boomery posting on Instagram is like, I think you have to be James Comey to get indicted for that.
Well, I mean, like, James Comey's problem is that he deleted the post and apologized for it.
What
Obviously his mistake. Like, you got to stand on business. You know, he needs to be under oath, like in the witness stand, and just be like, yes, he deserves to be 86th, and I hope he burns in hell. You know, fuck him. But I love the idea that, like, the former director of the FBI was sending a death threat to the president via Instagram and, like, seashells on a beach. It was like, activate all our sort of covert FBI assets to, like, that's the code. That's the go code on 47.
If you see it in his Instagram story, that means that we're a go. Also, it's a testament to how fucking damaged my brain is that when you were starting to say James Comey has a problem, instantly my head was like, his Oscar party is no longer hot. Like saying it like we're in a Catholic church. Like, I'm like, and also to you. Like, I just can't hear a sentence that starts that way and not finish it like that now.
And, like, I think it's funny that, like, God, like, there have only been, like, a handful of FBI directors, right? Like, they usually, like, they keep
Cash
him on.
Is the ninth.
And like, Cash is the ninth FBI director, and now he is, like, fucking, like, probably gonna be, like, in charge of, I don't know, investigating or prosecuting. I mean, I guess the Justice Department would be prosecuting, but, like, Kash Patel was the one doing this press conference about indicting James Comey for threatening to kill Donald Trump. By the way, we did not get to this on Monday, but, like, as far as Kash goes, okay, like, you got his country music superstar girlfriend who was reportedly holding hands with another man in, like, a fucking in a coat room at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But in the shooter's manifesto, the only member of the Trump cabinet that he was like, "Nah, you're cool," is Kash. So, like, he didn't even get a shout out in, like, the death threats. So, like, and now, like, God, I feel bad for Kash.
Yeah, that's got to be the one that really sort of hurts there. That he's, like, the guy that gets left behind by Kaiser Soze to tell the tale or whatever. Like, just like, I was just going, it's not anything personal with Kash. He was just the shortest, and I was organizing the list by height.
It's like, and then did you know what Kash did? He looked over, he looked at the eyes of his country music superstar girlfriend and the USA men's hockey team, and proceeded to kill every one of them except for one of the Kachuk brothers, which he said, you can go and tell everyone about what I just did.
Why was he okay with Kash? Was it a thing of, like, you know, oh, he's doing more harm to them than good? Or do you think it's like he's the rare person who read Kash Patel's The Plot Against the King?
Right.
Like, yeah, I don't agree with the politics here, but this is pretty good.
He's as a children's author.
This is a really good book. There's good stuff for adults and kids. Or he just like Kash's podcast.
Yeah.
Again, not agree. I mean, he was a radical centrist, and that is like,
well, yeah, like, I mean, given his
be like, I don't agree with Kash Patel, but his content's really good.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I don't know, like, given his political, I don't know, interests or the people that he retweeted and followed on Blue Sky or social media, I think it would just be an example of just like, look, the president and his whole cabinet, they're evil, they're pedophiles, they're traitors, they gotta go. But the head of the FBI, that's like a cop, you know. It's just like he's law enforcement, you know. He's law enforcement, and I respect the job that federal law enforcement officers do. And Kash Patel is the top federal law enforcement officer.
Yeah, some things are more important than simply murdering everyone in a room, and one of those is signaling your respect for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Did you see, like, the new photo that dropped of the assassin, where he was
incredibly
like,
good,
the way he was like dressing up with like the black shirt, the red tie, like looking like sort of like a, I don't know, like a blackjack dealer at like a sort of avant-garde casino or something like that. But, like, my favorite thing is, like, Felix, he's doing the Felix vote face.
No,
taking the mirror selfie, but while he is like has like a Leon Kennedy Resident Evil 4 style loadout on him. He's got like he's got like 4 knives, 6 guns, you know, the several green plants, maybe a few red plants that he can combine to get a bigger health upgrade.
Oh, that's the first time anyone has ever made that face while carrying, I mean, really, I think like any amount of firearms strapped up like that, but especially like he really did. He had like, you know, the pocket dimension that video game characters have, where you're able to carry a rocket launcher, 5 pistols, an assault rifle, grenades, a katana.
Doing all of that while, as Chris pointed out in the chat, being dressed like he's performing in the American Idiot tour. And also, I mean, the bit of it that is amazing to me about that image is like, and this was true of the manifesto too, is like, every manifesto that gets read, there's going to be, it's like, especially in this case where there's, people that are really, I guess, pro ballroom, you would say, like they have a lot riding on the idea of this being like a chilling manifesto, like a dark vision of the left. And it basically starts with like, so I did a thing. Like it is like the soiled imaginable.
I was talking to Matt about this the other day, and he brought up like a parallel with this shooter of like the sort of centrist Democrat assassin or killer. And like this guy is like, he's got some Chris Dorner in him, but like Chris Dorner actually killed like a lot of people. Yeah. But remember his manifesto where like it was like really long and he shouted out Gianna Michaels?
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said he was sad that he was going to die during it because he couldn't see the Wedding Crashers sequel. Dorner's was really awesome. That was really just like there was a lot of humanity in that.
Yeah.
Like
Dorner's a little bit more original. This guy seems very, very Reddit.
Yeah,
very Reddit.
Yeah, which is so we're now in terms of major political assassinations. Like the Redditors are more or less right up there with like unknowable / mental illness at this point in terms of like atop the leaderboard. Because I do think that this is more a case of like some sort of like, I mean, obviously it's like, by the numbers, it's like a lone wolf thing, but this is just somebody that is consuming too much stuff online, but like not even the sort of stuff that you'd think would make you crazy. Like he's just like ODing on hot dogs.
Yeah, he is following those accounts that are called like, wow, it's cool facts.
Yep.
And it's driving him to kill.
Well, moving on from the assassin to his target, I obviously like things are going great for dear Donald. Everyone loves him, and definitely. I mean, I said on Monday that like basically whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, like you are basically fantasizing about him dying in one way or another, like either violently or certainly natural causes, because just him being president is a problem for everyone. And like thus far, America has failed every attempt to like solve that problem. So now we're just going to be like, oh, he could just die.
Yeah.
He could die. Like, I guess like that's one way to deal with it. But Donald's in feel, like Donald, he's going through it because like, honestly, he's in a tough spot right now. He's in a tough spot as it regards the Iran war. And I do want to read a little bit from Cy Hirsch's Substack that he posted this week. And there's some interesting details in here, like basically about how his sources in Israel say that Israel is extremely frustrated with Donald Trump because he is on the verge of basically paying Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz so that they don't get blown out in the midterm elections. He writes here, he wants out, the Israeli insider told me, and the Israeli leadership is very upset because Trump, in his fear of the political cost to him of continuing a blockade at the Strait, has shown a willingness to ignore Israeli interests and desires. People in Israeli leadership say he's lost it. He doesn't think of the consequences. You cannot do negotiations with Iran because every step we make, he immediately broadcasts it on his social media posts. He is so obtuse. The Israeli leadership had high hopes for the most recent air war. It was met by a vigorous and region-wide Iranian missile and drone counterattack, the insider said. But Trump is so impatient. Another sore point, I was told, is that the White House easy acceptance of the notion that Iran had more of a claim to the strait than Oman and the United Arab Emirates, both of whom border on the waterway. Why does Iran have a special claim? Because Trump accepted it? We, the Israelis, were left with no cards to play. It is understood in Israel, I was told, that Trump was prepared to sweeten the deal for the Iranian government if needed to open the strait in hopes of giving the Republican Party better chances the fall congressional elections. Long-standing sanctions could be dropped and billions more found. I want to get to the last paragraph of this, which has this delightful bit of color here. Cy Hirsch writes, I was subsequently told about a recent White House meeting on the ongoing Iranian war that abruptly ended on a bizarre note. The senior leaders of the administration's foreign policy team, Secretary of State Rubio, Secretary of the Army Daniel Driscoll, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Dan Kane, among others, were there, along with the usual aides and note takers. And as the meeting went on, Trump was clearly losing interest. He suddenly brightened after about 20 minutes and excitedly began talking about his planned ballroom.
Yes.
Then under construction despite a disputed court order to desist. He showed his national security leaders a slideshow of the ballroom to be as put together by the contractor. At that point, Iran and Israel and life and death no longer seemed to matter. He is exactly the person you think he is.
He did this. He did this again earlier today. Like one of the last posts I saw before I came into the call was him talking about how he's got this wonderful black granite that's going to be the floor of the ballroom. And of course, maybe marble is prettier. Some people think it's prettier, but it's a much weaker stone. And he's just going off. Like, and as far you can tell that he's like, I'm cooking right now and I shouldn't stop. Everyone's loving this. But it's one of the classic, like, sort of Oval Office things where it's, 13 different white guys in suits standing behind him and him kind of like drawling and gesticulating while seated at the desk. So like, I think that I don't have a hard time believing anything really about what you just said. It's all 100% like Donald Trump behaviors. But the idea that like the only thing he really cares about is building a new big ballroom where he can like welcome Mr. Michael Bolton to sing to him or something. It's like the most on brand imaginable for him.
He brings everything back to the fucking ballroom. And like, and this is in the context of, like I said, you're meeting with your national security team and the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
About the war you're losing.
About the war that we're losing.
Wrecking the world right now.
And that we have no way out of or solution to other than just bribing the Iranians to like pretend that we won the war, which I don't think that they're going to. I don't think they're going to go for that. But okay, and now that reporting is buttressed by another big piece in The Atlantic titled "The Yolo Presidency." Now, this is a piece that
What year is it?
Yeah, I regard this piece as like a little less credible because, like, in it they say like Trump is no longer comparing himself to Washington and Lincoln. Like he prefers Alexander the Great and like Heidegger's Heidegger's theory of great men in history, and I'm like, no, he's not.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
sorry
that's
about
not
that.
what he's thinking.
That was a joke. Tim and Eric was a satirical show. Shows how little he knows.
The idea of him, I always love these sorts of like, because it's the challenge of writing about Trump. And like, obviously these guys, I have not read the whole story. I know it's the double byline, like, on the cover of the magazine type, like they were proud of this story and presumably they did talk to people. But the challenge with writing about Trump is that he's boring. Like he's just not, he doesn't have thoughts. And so there's only so much that he's ever going to bring to the story himself. And then the rest of it, like the idea of being like, he's comparing himself to Jesus Christ. He thinks that he's Alexander the Great. And it's like, I know that that's not true because of the fact that I've been like everybody else. Like we've been trapped with this guy in a confined space for a decade. Like for him, like the coolest guy in the world is like Christopher Reeve as Superman in Superman. That's the apex of masculinity. And if he's comparing himself to anybody, it's that. These other guys he doesn't know anything about. He wouldn't care about.
I'm sorry, I misstated this. It was not Tim Heidegger's theory. It was Hegel's theory. It says here,
yes.
Yeah, the president had in private conversations begun thinking of himself less as a peer of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and more as an addition to Hegel's immortal trifecta. He has been talking recently about about how he is the most powerful person to ever live, the confidant told us. He wants to be remembered as the one who did things that other people couldn't do because of his sheer power and force of will. And, these were comments echoed on Saturday night after the, assassination attempt. It says, then on Saturday night, following an assassination attempt at the annual White House Correspondents Association dinner, Trump turned briefly introspective, offering it another glimpse of how he views his place in the scope of history. Speaking to reporters shortly after the alleged gunman had been apprehended, Trump said that he had studied assassinations.
Yeah.
So someone made this point, and it's actually 100%. I believe this to be 100% true. When he said he's studied assassinations, he's referring to Stephen Sondheim's musical Assassins. I've studied assassinations. I mentioned Lincoln and argued that the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much, he continued before musing that only big names face these threats to their life and concluding, I hate to say I'm honored by that, but I've done a lot. I mean, to his point, like, I don't know if I mentioned this on Monday, but like someone tried to kill Gerald Ford like twice in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
the same hotel where they tried to kill Donald Trump, right? Isn't that the one?
Yeah. No, that was Reagan. Maybe
that was Reagan. All right, sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like one of the Manson family tried to kill him, and then another one.
Yeah. It is also, it's very Trump to be like, there's basically like fortnightly someone tries to shoot you, and they all like basically have different reasons for it, all of which you're kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, I can sort of see it. Like if you had to do it. And the idea of like using that to kind of buck yourself up and be like, yeah, like I think that this is like, it's proof that I need to keep posting.
Now, like the type of person who gets assassinated, like sometimes it is someone important, but a lot of the time it really just is like, I am assassinating the founder of this seaweed based MLM I'm a part of because he stole my idea for seaweed derived products. But it is, I every unpopular child has had that thought.
Yeah,
I'm polarizing. People either love me or hate me, or they're indifferent. It's not like other people where no one has an opinion on.
Right. They treated Jesus Christ the same way.
Yeah.
As I'm being treated in the locker room in 7th grade.
Right. But like for a child, it's understandable because it is like, that is more appealing than just like people don't like you for your personality. But for Trump, the reality is much more disturbing than even the idea that it's just that people don't like him. I mean, that is part of it. But the true reality and the reason that they are getting no bump out of this one and didn't really get a bump out of Ryan Ruth, et cetera, is that it's not that people, he is more hated than like fill in the blank Republican politician or Democratic. It's that he is so annoying that annoying things keep happening to him.
Yeah.
Or at least that is the average American's response to this.
Right. I think that if you consider like how incoherent the broader moment is, like, and how like sort of, I mean, not just in the sense of like everybody that tries to shoot the president is like fundamentally, got some stuff wrong with them that leads them to that moment. But it is like, if all of this is basically like the full collapse of like Trumpism into like his sort of reality where like cause and effect are completely decoupled. Like basically every day you start fresh, goldfish style, like no idea of what's going on, no sense of consequences. Like he should understand these fundamentally as an attempt to change the channel or to like, like block a pesky user on social media. Yeah. Like they're not trying to like stop you from, getting everything that you've been getting. Like they just don't want to see you anymore. They don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Like
even more than that though, there is a weird parody between him and his assassins because they're both like psychotic people who kind of want to be the center of attention but don't know like the most optimal way to go about it. Okay. Everyone in their family, everyone out there, right? God forbid you are this person. Maybe you are if you're listening to our show. But chances are you have a person in your family who like every Thanksgiving or family get whatever, people are going around the table and you have this one family member who always like they just say something that always reduces the table to a stony silence. Apropos of nothing, they will go, well, this was the worst year of my life. They'll walk into your house. Guess who got arrested for no reason again? Well, you guessed it. Another boss has been stealing my thoughts. It just everyone, like you all, whether it's a family member or a friend of a friend, you have someone who like anything that can happen to them will happen. And they are unluckier than the average person in a lot of ways. But after a while, you come to this central uncomfortable truth that like you do not have the same things repeatedly happen to you in most cases, unless you kind of want them to.
Yeah.
That is not to say that every bad thing is everyone's fault, but like someone like this, where like, they have left 20 jobs they've had like 20 jobs where they're paid like hourly wages and they're suing their employer for theft of intellectual property. It's like, okay, I think you want to be in these disputes. With Trump and being people trying to kill him, same reaction. It's like, okay, well, you like being a guy that people shoot at.
Yeah.
I mean, he has said as much.
Yeah.
And that is,
he was honored by it.
Yeah, all these people, all the, like Jack Posobiec and Libs of TikTok. Oh my God, Jimmy Kimmel is gonna fucking, like, Jimmy Kimmel couldn't even get like 100,000 more people to vote for Kamala. He is not acting. He's not like King Vaughn. He can't put a price on someone's head and make them do it. It's just, this is the thing that happens to him because he likes for it. He likes annoying things to happen to him.
His whole,
whether he knows it or not,
presidency, I think, is that like, if he had just basically gotten elected on like, whatever it was that got him elected, the first or the second times, honestly, like, I mean, I feel like the appeal of it has obviously been lost on me. But if he came in like this time around and basically didn't do anything, like if he just sort of like hung out, signed his executive orders, like, I think that he would have been popular because the economy, like people would have convinced themselves that the economy was fine, even if it didn't change from what the economy had been under Biden. They would have just been like, well, yeah, it's like a business guy is in charge of it now. Like he's the one that like gets so bored that he starts ordering whatever, like fucking Zero Dark 30 things, or like demanding new footage of a speedboat blowing up or whatever the fuck it is. Like he's the guy that instead of putting people in charge that could have like more or less kept the government running and probably honestly secured him, rancid man though he is, like an actual legacy, he had to fucking cast his whole cabinet like it was a reality show. Like he just needs like to have them all like carrying like opaque wine glasses around being fucking loaded all the time. Like this group of degenerates is there because they're like amusing to him. He needs to be stimulated and he needs to be at the center of something all the time, when really I think part of being president is like knowing when to not do stuff, and that's the last skill he will ever acquire.
Yeah, no, that is not in the repertoire.
No.
Yeah, I think that is a really, really good thing to acknowledge, that like in those first few months, people are so susceptible to, if you tell them something is popular and broadly liked, they're like, oh yeah, I guess so, and I guess I like that.
Yeah,
they were in prime position to do that with Trump too.
Yeah,
that all the articles that have been the country's rightward shift. You would never know that this was a meager 1.5% popular vote win against one of the most unpopular and shitty incumbents ever, and a horrible, horrible campaign that just blew all their advantages.
That came in cold too, in relief of a guy who was like visibly dying on television every single day.
Yeah,
like the least vital stuff imaginable.
A guy who performed so badly at a presidential debate that it devalued the American dollar.
Yeah,
like probably permanently. But people were, the narrative was primed that like this is fucking Reagan in 1980. This is the new Republican Revolution. This is forever a rightward shift. Everyone but like 4 people voted for Trump. And just, they did what was the first thing they did? We're going to have the single most unpopular thing in American politics, which is austerity. And we're going to have it led by the most annoying guy ever.
Yeah.
Mr. Golf is going to tell you that you need to pay more for groceries. Like, unreal.
It's like to the point about like, if he had just come in office and done nothing, like he could have secured a legacy. Because I don't know if you guys saw this, but like the New York Times did another one of these like sort of group panels of like frustrated Trump voters, and they assembled a panel of like 12 independent and Republican voters who like now feel like they are disappointed or felt betrayed in some way by Donald Trump, and like their responses to like why they voted for him or like why they're disappointed in him are really fascinating, because like it goes to the point that like if he had just done nothing, most people will just project what they're like, oh, well, he's a good man, or like he's popular, there must be something about him.
That's what got him there in the first place. So many of these people were like, I thought he'd learned from past experiences, and it's you thought Donald Trump had done that?
Yeah.
David, one of the guys said, like, I thought that this would be the moment where he would prove to everyone that he'd learned from past mistakes. Yep. And it's just like, this guy was already president for 4 years. And then another woman's amazing response was like, yeah, like he made all these promises, and now I feel like, there were false promises. Like, I care about education, and I thought he would come in and fund our education system. But now it seems like he's cutting funding to our education system. And it's like, like if public education is important to you, you're voting for the Republican candidate. And it's like, it's not like he ever lied about, like he put Linda McMahon in charge of the Department of Education.
I thought he was going to put somebody good in charge, like Vince McMahon, and instead it shows that he's not paying attention to it at all. Yeah, it is like.
But the other thing that I thought was fascinating about their responses, and like this is so telling to me as someone who is like, like made my position on Kamala Harris clear, and like still to this day, people try to attempt to like use the lesser of two evils framework in terms of voting for a president, and they're like. Everyone assumed, like, the Democrats said they use it to discipline voters. Just be like, well, at the end of the day, you got to vote for the lesser of two evils. At least 4 people in this focus group use the term, I had to vote for the lesser of two evils, but to vote for Donald Trump.
For Donald Trump. Like, I weighed my options. I watched the debates. And I just thought the Antichrist, the guy that's obviously the Antichrist, was clearly the less evil of the two.
That does kind of make sense to me though, because like I remember right after the election, my sister said something where she said, all these people that I talked to say, I don't understand how someone could have voted for him after all the stuff he could done, which like, yeah, no, I have a hard time understanding the exactly how someone could do this. But at the same time, she pointed out those people that were saying that, they were horrified by the crime of like our lifetimes committed in the Biden administration, the genocide of Gaza. And okay, well, those people were able to do the same thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, it is sort of like patently more ridiculous with Trump because there's just like, what redeeming anything is there? All you can really point to is like, oh, the economy was really good in 2017, or at least I felt like it was. But it is sort of like, yeah, it is the same thought process, just a little bit more patently ridiculous, though no more morally absurd, I don't think.
Yeah. He's also it's a weird thing too, because there's nothing in him as a guy. Like there's nothing in his skill set that suggests that he should be capable of this or good at it, but he has always had, I think just because he's been this like metonym for rich guy for as long as I've been alive, like it's basically like if you had in your head, like what does a successful rich person look like for someone who was born when I was born, but then also, I mean, you guys are like 10, 20 years younger than me, not 20, but like 10 odd years younger than me. But like for me, it was like a guy in a suit getting out of a limo, making a face. Like that's Donald Trump. It was, and so people could look at that and then sort of reverse engineer their whatever like sort of values they'd passively absorbed about what was good and what was not good in the culture onto that guy, which is incredible because it's like every time he opened his mouth, he was like, nope, wrong guy, project elsewhere. Like this is not who you think it is. And he's not going to do the things that you think. And yet somehow he was able to just sort of walk through all that. I don't know if it was charisma or years of like sort of rot in the culture in general. I remember seeing an interview with a woman outside of Trump Tower. This could have been 2016, where she was talking, who was, very pro Trump and was talking about him, in terms of the way that people used to talk about him back then, about how he used to talk about this too, how heroic it was for him to give up this life of amazing comfort to rescue America from President Obungler. And she was like, he like is a dedicated guy. Every day he's out there flying around the world, helping the kids. And I was just like, well, he doesn't do either of those things. Like he flies to West Palm Beach and like tries to kiss a friend's wife on the mouth. Like that is all he has ever done. Like how you get there is the real mystery to me. And I don't know, like, I don't think that bit of it can be reverse engineered. I do think that there is, like, for all the other little absurdities that you can sort of unpack, the fact that, I couldn't even tell from that Times piece to what extent these people had actually awakened to it. I mean, it was the sort of thing where like it seemed like most of them, it was like 9 out of 12, right? Like we're like, I was wrong. Trump sucks. This was a mistake. And yet there isn't a sense there of any, no, but then there's no follow on from that.
I mean, and then they're like, well, like who excites you in like the next presidential election? They're like Marco Rubio, JD Vance.
Yeah.
Like I think they're smart and intelligent and like, and it's just like, like it's 2 guys in his fucking cabinet.
Right.
And like, David, to the point about like projection or how like if he had done, like back to this idea is that if he had just got in and done nothing, people's projections would have done the work for him.
Absolutely.
Like, another thing that everyone said is like, well, I was initially so excited when he first came in the White House because he secured the border and he closed the border, and that was a problem. It's just like, what? Day one in office, he just flips the switch. Border closed now. But then all of these same people were like, oh, obviously, like, there were a lot of criminals coming through, and like, it's good that he secured the border. That was a thing that wasn't secure, and now it's secure. But then they all say, but the way he's going about enforcing immigration is wrong. It's bad, and it's cruel, and I don't like seeing it. And one woman said, it seems that he's only, like, the immigration enforcement is only targeting one group of people, like, ethnically. And it's just like, he's focusing on like only one side of the border, and they're like, there are two borders in this country, and I'm like, what? Like, you're shocked that he's not going after Canadians?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
This is like that one undecided voter from like Buffalo, New York, where it's like they sing "Oh Canada" before the fucking Sabres games, and nobody talks about it.
David, I did like that everyone was like, because like the mic cut out when the lady was singing "Oh Canada" at the Sabres game, and then the crowd helped her out. And
yeah,
like, this is the true spirit of America. Like, this is real fandom. I'm like, 80% of the people in that arena were from Canada.
Yeah,
like our Sabres fans, like from Canada.
Like knowing the words to another country's national anthem is actually the opposite of the spirit of America. Like, that is the living 180 degree of that.
But just to return to the Yolo presidency article from the Atlantic, I did very much enjoy this detail. We all know about his love of interior decoration and building things. And like I said, like, the things he does that actually interest him, the things that he does to like stave off the boredom that comes from like having to sit there and listen to people and nod and fall asleep and like, and then like deal with the war he started that's not going good. So it says here, ever since moving back into the Oval Office, Trump has been adding accents to the room, cluttering the space with golden urns, military flags, rows of presidential portraits, and a 19th century copy of the Declaration of Independence. The crowns of the doors have been gilded, as have the seal and stars on the ceiling. Like clip art in blank spots on the wall, he has affixed ornamental molding coated in gold leaf. When we entered the Oval Office for an interview last April, one of the first questions he asked us was of decor. Do I do a chandelier? He inquired. Beautiful crystal chandelier, top of the line.
Top of the line, best in the world.
Ultimately, he opted against it because the logistics were not ideal. One option included hanging it directly through the bald eagle's beak on the presidential seal. But this is awesome, though. This is so funny. The doors, however, remained glaringly unadorned until Trump had an idea. He took his personally designed presidential challenge coin. Such tokens are generally a palm-sized souvenir that's popular in military and law enforcement circles, and glued it to the center of the Oval Office door at about eye level. Everyone was impressed by how good it looked, a White House official told us. In the weeks that followed, Trump made his way through the West Wing, seeking out new places to affix his coins, golden and featuring the presidential seal. One by one, the president decorated the office doors of each of his deputies. His aides are convinced that he will eventually cover all of the doors. This is something that, like, a 5-year-old.
This is literally little kid
at home.
Like the comparison here, the only comparison that makes sense is like a child drawing their name in crayon on the wall. And then in this case, somehow the parents being like, I love it. Can you do that in every room? Can you just like fuck up our home with that? Like, it is the most obviously little kid sided thing that I could imagine a person doing.
Yeah. I mean, the only other comparison I could possibly have for, like the googly eyes that used to be on like the pet rock thing.
Yep.
Like, there's a googly eyes that you can stick on things. When my dad was dying of cancer and like strung out on like fentanyl, he started putting googly eyes on all of the lamps in the house and on the light switches. But like, this is, we were like, oh, that's kind of cute, but it was like sort of like close to death. You revert back to a kind of, I don't know, a childlike state. But just everyone loves it. And this is where I'm going with this. Like, we were talking about how, like, why is it that Trump, a guy who is like the literal antichrist, like someone who, leaving aside the book of Revelation, like literally stands in opposition to everything Jesus Christ did and said in his life. Why is it that like a figure like this, who's like has such a clearly established track record, that like is still so like such a porous canvas for the projections of other people to like imagine that he's on their side or a good guy or fighting for the little guy or, standing up to corrupt interests in DC, despite being the most transparently corrupt human being that's like ever lived. And I think it comes down to the fact that like it's just like it's got to be like a failure of the Democrats, and that they resist any kind of projection from people. Like they don't give people anything to play with. And like to that end, all of the redecorations he's done in the White House, this stupid ballroom that he's trying to build, I need to see every Democrat in DC, and certainly the 2028 contenders, get on record now and begin to run a campaign of like, day one, we're bringing a dumpster to the White House and getting rid of all this shit.
I mean, I can't.
We are chiseling his name off every building, every like giant poster that he's put up himself in DC, like Kim Jong Un or something. We're taking a bulldozer to that fucking ballroom day one.
That's also day one. That's just base service too. Like it's the sort of thing where I think that the only people that are identified with the Democrats that don't like dream of that day. And like, I vote for the fucking Democrats. I don't like it necessarily, but I do it every time I have to do it. I do it. It's how I was raised. But like that, like people that are like sincerely on the Democrat team, like blue wave types, dream of that. I think other normal people dream of seeing the fucking the letters he put up outside of every like room in the White House.
Yeah,
those like the fucking cursive thing that says the Oval Office.
Oval Office. Yeah, like the most iconic room in American history and governance is like the Oval Office.
Yeah,
this fucking moron.
You don't need to market like a gift shop at a Holiday Inn.
Oval Office.
Yeah.
Like,
but like I think that like the idea of like ripping all of that out, like gut reno, all the fucking gold painted shit is going in a dumpster. Like people fantasize about that, and yet I don't feel like it's the sort of thing. This has always been the case where Democrats are concerned. I think is that they get worried when their base is too excited about something. That like if Republicans are a little irresponsible in terms of how they whip up their base and what they whip them up about, and then sometimes work themselves into these fucking shoots like the one they're in now, where they basically like were promising genocide and would feel like they would be letting people down if they didn't do it. I think that like it's like an internet hippo tweet about how like voting, like the Democratic convention is always like, it's like going to see a rock band and they spend the whole time on stage being like, everybody calm down. Like that's basically what I feel like the threat is here. Like if you get people too excited to like rip all the gold shit out of the White House, like I think that constitutionally you're like Hakeem Jeffries types are going to be like, well, but then what if they get mad at us? Or like, what if they start asking us to do stuff about things that are a part of like the broader structure?
Like, David, I think it's the fact that like they view like things like raising the ante and being like, okay, if Trump wants to cover the White House, like the seat of American democracy, with his like gauche, gaudy horse shit, his fake golf club elegance and fucking glamour, we're going to fucking like day one reno. We're bulldozing his stupid fucking ballroom that no one wants or cares about. We're chiseling his name off the Kennedy Center. No, you're not allowed to put your signature on money. That's for the Treasury Secretary. You're not allowed to put your fucking face on passports. Yep. Is what another thing that he says he's going to be doing now. Like, you are not Mussolini, right? And we're getting rid of, like, I think they would view that as like indulging in a kind of populism that they think is like cheating.
Right.
It's the same thing the way they think that like, they always talk about like, oh, like the promises made in a campaign. Like you can't just promise people things that you know are never going to happen. And like, even if that's true, it's like they're saying like, you can't even say that you want something that everyone wants, because that's like cheating.
Right.
It'd be like, sure, we could win every election if we just did what people wanted us to.
Yeah. Well, where's the fun? That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
That's cheating. Like that's like a cheat code. Like you have to win an election by telling people that like, you know, they're not going to get anything from you, and like,
right, and then reminding them that the other option would be worse. That's it.
And selfish for even asking, and that like it's only your civic duty to prevent like the worst possible option from happening.
Yeah. The idea of like the Democrat version of this being like taking the cursive words, the Oval Office, and just removing office from it and being like, we call it the Oval. It's fine. Is a nice thing to think about.
We've rebranded the White House to WH.
WH.
Sort of like a savvy, cool experience for a new generation. Me too, at the WH. Because like this is a problem. Is like you can't just be like, oh, we stand for nothing but being anti-Trump. Because like, okay, well, shit, like 70% of the country is already with you.
It's a very popular opinion.
You're sick of this asshole, but like, you gotta give people like, gotta give some something to fucking get juiced up over. Like, like we know whenever they're like all their insults to Donald Trump is like dangerous Donald, or like, you know, he needs to do less posting and more governing or something. It's just like, no, go at him in relentlessly like harsh and personal insults.
Like, how do you hate him less than everyone that's going to vote for you?
Yeah.
Like, how does it, they actually have to fucking spend time with him too. Like, I feel this way about him, and every exposure that I've had to Donald Trump in my life until he started running for politics, I chose it. Like, I followed him on Twitter before he got into politics because I liked it when he would like complain about Bette Midler in the middle of the night.
Washed up psycho, Bette Midler.
But I was just like, look at this asshole. Like, it was like that. I chose that. Like, I brought that garbage into my home. At this point, like, if you're not actually mad about, if you are running on being anti-Trump or whatever, or opposed to Trump's policies or whatever, and you're not just aghast at what he's actually doing, but like really sincerely disgusted at the decades of rot that created the circumstances that made his rise possible, then you lack the moral sense necessary to have a high office, to me. Like, because it's not just about him. Like, yeah, he sucks ass and everyone around him sucks ass. That's fine. That's not, but like removing that does not remove the conditions that make it possible for us to wind up where we are now. And it certainly doesn't remedy them on its own. Like, you have to make it so that this, not just that you don't get Donald Trump Jr. or whatever the fuck in 8 years, like you don't get the politics that create the nihilism that in turn creates the possibility of a Trump.
Well, it's like, you know, even if you're not going to give anyone health care or like end all these wars or cut off Israel or do anything that's like desperately needed, like you at least got to give people something to get excited about, which is like the swift and brutal punishment of him and all of his rotten family members and everyone in his administration. And I mean, like, down to humiliating. I mean, like, send him the bill for the demo of his stupid ballroom.
Yep. Like, I think this is the sort of thing where, and this is where like Democrats are uniquely not suited for it, because it's like the actual remedy for it is that, like, it is expropriating wealth from a rich guy and his shitty family and all the fucking criminals that they have been associating with. And I think that there's like, I don't know who's got the stomach for that, even to say it, you know, but I also feel like anything that stops short of that, where you're kind of like, well, you know, a lot of people voted for him and you got to respect his legacy. It's like, no, you are like, formally kick him out of the House. Like, if you don't, like, he's going to keep coming back.
I can think of one guy who had the stomach for it. But,
yes,
you know,
right.
It didn't work out, and now all the people that he was like a fan of are fucking, you know, they're backing away. They're like, I don't know this guy.
Yeah,
we don't support him.